Welcome everyone to First Wednesdays with Gretchen Hydo. As a quick reminder to everybody on this call is uploaded to Gretchen Hydo's International YouTube as a public video. So if you would not want your image or your voice on the video, you can actually engage us in the chat and that would work pretty fine. But today we have a special Q&A. So if you have any questions from niche to target market, what to charge, anything you want, Gretchen's ready to answer for you today. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Gretchen.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm really excited about this session tonight. You know, I love it when I have the ear of a good coach who I can ask questions to. And I thought tonight, let's spend this hour for the Coaching for Coaches, which is really, you know, my give back to coaches, to be able to answer the questions that you have, real life scenarios, things that you're wondering about, different situations that might be going on in your business, questions that you have about pricing, packages, closing clients, how to build your business, really anything coaching related, who you want to be in your business. Because the truth is that we can get stuck in our own stories and we don't know what we don't know. And so I really want to make this useful to you. First, though, I'm going to read you something. So I love this quote. It says, excellence is never an accident. It's the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, skillful execution, and the vision to see obstacles as opportunities. And that makes me think of coaching. And when we're starting a business, it's not by accident that we're starting a business. And when coaches come to me and they want to know, like, what's your secret? How are you successful? What do you do? The truth is that my success has not been an accident. It's been very tactical and practical. It's me sitting down every day and deciding that I'm a professional. It's me keeping up with my own goals. And it's about having vision and discipline to be able to do the actions that are necessary in moving forward, you know, and so that's really the truth. And Sam, I wondered if you would be willing to talk a little bit about what you heard on that Brene Brown podcast about action versus motion. I thought that could be really good here while we open this up.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if anyone's read Atomic Habits by James Clear. So he was on Brene's podcast now, probably a few months ago. It's a great 2-part episode or 2 episodes. You understand what I'm saying? And he made a comment of this idea of motion versus action. And so motion is you buy the weights for your home gym, and action is actually lifting the weights. And a lot of people get stuck in motion. They get stuck in like checking things off their list for the things that they, right, buying the weights, but they don't actually lift the weights. And so they never actually see the change.
So what do you think of that? You know, when you hear this, coaches, that it's really, we have to lift the weights. Anyone?
Well, it's like when people buy their gym membership, having great intention, but never making it to the gym, you know, and that's what it makes me think of. Like there's an intention to do it, and then there's the doing it.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and so I wondered, where in your business are you in motion rather than action? Sam, go ahead.
I think I brought it up because I think that feels real for me in some ways of like, I can look super busy. And I think probably outwardly someone would be like, wow, she's like, has so many meetings or she's building lists. Like all of that is motion, right? So I think for me, it's those things, building the list, but not doing the outreach, thinking about the people I want to reach out to, but not actually redoing it. Like that type of thinking about like, maybe one day I want to do a workshop and then not even putting pen to paper on what that would even look like.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else? Where else are you in motion, but not in action?
I'll speak, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi. I'll agree with Sam as far as, sorry, my microwave is like going off and trying not to be rude. It's the same thing for me as far as I'll write the list and I'll look at it and, okay, this is what I'm going to do as far as reaching out to people. I'll do the logistic aspect of it, the paperwork, creating the emails and templates. And I've talked about that in this class before. And then when it comes to actually executing them, there's some type of hesitation. I don't know if it's like this imposter syndrome that may be coming up, or this fear or anxiety that goes around it. So I totally can relate to that aspect of it. And I'm just feel like I'm getting over the hump now, but it does come up and it does exist. So I definitely can relate.
Yeah. And I think every entrepreneur, whatever industry that they are in, can relate. And so this is something that you can take back to your clients too. It's a really good question of, where are you in motion rather than action? Where did you buy all the food to go on this special juice cleanse? And when are you actually drinking the juice cleanse? Like, what's happening? So we have the intention, but if we don't have a practical and poignant plan to help us with our intention, they're never going to partner together well. And so it's almost like we let the dreamer, the motion go first, then we couple it with the action, which is the practical, and then together they hold hands to get to the finish line, because anything less isn't going to get us where it is that we want to go. Okay, so let's open this up to questions and where you're at in your business. What do you want to know? I have no script for tonight. I'm not teaching anything except whatever agenda you bring to the table. So what are your burning desires?
I'll go.
Yeah. Okay, Lori, then Daryl.
Okay. I was wondering, like on the module 2, the second part workbook, there was a thing about like, what is your follow-up process? And I realized I don't really have a follow-up process. So I wonder if we could just go over that, because I'm using that captain's log, but I don't feel like I'm very orderly with it. I just have names on there, but I don't have it set up so that I know who and when to follow up, etc.
Great, sure. And so what Lori's talking about, for those of you who aren't in Stairway to Six and are just coaches in the community coming and joining in, part of the Stairway to Six program, we're really going through all the steps, the 6 steps, basically 6 different things that you can do to build a successful business. And we're at the part right now where it comes to, well, how do you follow up with a client once you have actually spoken to them or they are somewhere in the enrollment process? And so, Lori, there's a few things here that I can speak to with this. Some of it depends on where they're at, where they're at in the process. So the very first thing that I would recommend for everyone is to get a client relations management system. It's a way to keep track of your different clients so that you know who you've reached out to when, how they know you, and where you're at in the process. Have they emailed you? Have you already scheduled a session? Have you had that first connection call? Is it time for you to be following up with a podcast or news article or something like that? So that's really what that part is about, Lori, is just, first of all, how do you even keep track so that you can get back in touch with people? So that's part one. So I'll just put that on the table for you. What are you doing right now, you and everyone else here, that, how are you keeping track of your potential clients and your clients?
So I'm just keeping them in the Excel sheet. I am looking in, like, I have a CRM that I'm tinkering around with to see if I really like it. So I know that that's going to be my next step. But so that's why, like, this Excel sheet, I have a notes section. That's about it. I have a contact date, but I don't have anything beyond that.
Okay, so right now, the follow-up process could use a little bit of work, but you are keeping track. Carrie, how about you? Because you've been at this a little bit longer. Tell them about sort of your organizational follow-up process.
Yeah, so I'm kind of old school. I like a calendar that I can hold. So what I do is I put a client down for whatever we're doing, and I'll put their name, and in parentheses, I'll put connection call or complimentary session. And then I will go a week out or 2 weeks out, and I'll put their name on a to-do for that next week, follow up with so-and-so. And so I kind of do that. I have them like staggered throughout my calendar so that I don't forget. And then if I do, I can go back and kind of track where we're at in the process. But that's been pretty helpful for me.
Mm.
Anyone else have anything they want to add to how they follow up with clients and keep track organizationally of their clients? Anyone found a system that works for them? Yeah, Sam.
I've just been using the captain's log for sure, but also just my own like Google sheet.
Mhm.
I call it like a pipeline doc, I think I'm calling it. And so it's just every person that I've talked to, even people who have said they don't want to move forward. So they become like a dead lead or a closed lost lead. Like so I have a few columns. I can keep all their contact info in that. So it's just easy to find emails. And then I keep a little notes column that's like, this is the package. This is what I proposed in terms of fees. This is how many sessions, like kind of all of it. So I have it there. I'm sure there's going to be a better way as like I have more and more people, but for now that feels like a really nice running list. So I don't forget people.
Yeah. So you can do that. There are so many different ways. Maybe some of you are going to put things on your calendar that's on your phone, follow up with Gretchen on Tuesday. Then you have somewhere else where you look at the session notes of what it is or where you are at in the pipeline process. So that's one answer to this question of like, what's my follow-up process? The other part of this, the deeper part of this is, and what's my process? So when we're following up with our clients, what are we really following up about? And when, when, how, and why? What are those reasons? And so if you've had a great conversation, a great connection call with a client, and you are at the part where you might decide that you would like to offer them a coaching conversation, where you're really going to coach with them so that they can have the experience, you will already have them on the calendar most of the time before you hang up. If not, there'll be some back and forth and that sort of thing. I like to give them an assignment in between the connection call and the actual coaching call. So it's like, okay, so between now and the time we coach, do whatever it is, read this article, listen to this podcast, write about this thing we talked about, and send it to me before we meet. That way I can really assess their readiness. How ready are they, for coaching? So that's one way. Let's say that you get to that coaching call. It's been great. And then they are either A, on the fence about working with you, B, they say something like, I have to think about it. I need to talk to whoever, because there's so many people that people need to talk to. No problem. You want to make sure that you have a bookmark of when you guys are going to follow up together. So if you're talking to someone and it's a Monday and they say, I'd really like to do this, but I do need to consult my accountant and I need to talk to my wife or my husband, my partner, you'd say, no problem. Let's put Wednesday on the calendar to talk again. Or for some coaches, they'll say, yeah, sleep on it, figure out what you need to figure out, and I will know that you are ready when you get a hold of me. So there's really two different ways to do it. There's the approach of, hey, here, we're already scheduled. And then there's the approach of you completely back off and you let them come to you in terms of when they're ready. So both work. Then there's the other option of people are just sort of not quite sure if they want to. Those are the people that you can give another assignment to, or send them an article or a podcast or some kind of a resource that might be helpful, and then see what they think. And that way it keeps the conversation going. Sometimes we have people that it's just not the right fit right then. Oftentimes I will say to potential clients, I'm not always the right fit the first time we talk. Sometimes people have to build up to being able to work with me. It's not always the right fit the first time we talk. And so if that's the case, then we need to take a look at that too. And what can you do? So I will usually like 6 weeks, 8 weeks on my calendar, follow up and just find out how they are and send a resource. Does that help? Okay, Daryl, I know you had a question.
Yeah, my wife and I are doing the coaching and the business together, and so we have a business meeting every other Tuesday at 9 a.m. and she typically she jokes and says, we paid for you to take the course, but I'm planning on you bringing everything back. And
Okay.
so she was asking questions the other day, and I told her about you being in Chicago and your VIP session with your coach. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh, yeah. Anything specific that you want to know?
Yeah, so was it like an intensive? How long did it last? Were other people there?
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Great. And just so you know, Daryl, first Wednesdays, your wife can join.
Okay.
She can come. You could go get her right now if you wanted. Like you can text her and tell her, come on in. Like she can come to first Wednesdays. It's no problem.
She's getting a massage right now, Gretchen. So
Your wife's got it going on. I really like that. So VIP days and intensives are something that many of us coaches offer. You can do them in a any kind of way that you want. The great thing about a VIP day is that it's based on the person who's being coached, where they're at in that moment and what they want to create. So I've done all sorts of them. I'll tell you a little bit about the one my coach put on for me, and then I'll tell you about some that I've put on for other clients. My coach, I live in California. She had me fly out to Chicago. We didn't know, there was still the mask mandate in place then and everything else. And I said, can't we just do it on Zoom? She said, no, it's important work. And I want you to be out of your location so that you can pay attention to work. It was good. Then she put me up at this beautiful hotel, 5-star hotel. She paid for that part, which, if we really think about it, with what I pay for her, I paid for it, but it's a nice gift that it didn't come out of my pocket. And in that way, I didn't pay the hotel. And then I had to come with my agenda. What was it that I wanted to create? So for her, everything with my coach is agenda driven from me, from me being the coachee. And so I prepped, for weeks beforehand, really thinking about what I needed. And I came up with an outline and something that I wanted her to review that she looked at prior to our session. And then we met, she had a boardroom ready and we met, it was 8 hours. 8 hours. So it's super intense. The reason for this is that first hour of coaching, it's quick. A lot of times you could definitely go for longer. There is much more. You get to the hour and you're like, wow, we've just touched the thing. And with this, there's a lot of room in there for creativity, just a ton of room for creativity and to remove blocks and to think. Because many times when I get coached, then I have to coach somebody else, 30 minutes after. So there's not a lot of time to process. There's not a lot of time to put things into place. There was a lot of action with this and a lot of good forward thinking. And this is really where her and I had a ton of thought partnership. So that's what the VIP day with her looked like. We did take, a couple of breaks and we did them separately. And the reason for this isn't because she doesn't like me and doesn't want to hang out with me. It's because as the coach, she being the coach, she needed to go and collect her thoughts and rejuvenate so that she could be prepared then for our next section. And I, as the client in this case, I also needed to go and rejuvenate and be prepared for the next section of what we were going to do, because 8 hours is intense. That is a lot of coaching. So that's the way she did it with me. I'll pause before I talk about some of the ways that I do it. What questions do you coaches have about that? Or comments?
I guess I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, is this standard for all of her clients, Gretchen?
I don't know. I don't know if it is or if it isn't. I know that different packages with coaches include a lot of times a VIP day or a VIP weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, so it could be standard. It's definitely a very nice add-on. I'll talk about that in just a second. Lori, what were you going to say?
I was just wondering, do you meet regularly, or is this just like the bulk of the coaching that you get from your coach?
Great question. So her and I meet 3 times a month, and then we did this VIP day. So here's another option. One of the things that I will do with clients, and that many coaches do, it's just called your intensive or your VIP package. And what it typically or can include, you can do it in any way you want. This is the other fun part. Create whatever you feel excited about. One of the ones that I do, it includes an hour prior to the VIP experience. That's where we're going to get really clear on the person's goals, what it is that they want and what they're hiring me for. Then I give them a bunch of pre-work to do, and I go back and create the VIP experience. So my coach gave me almost no pre-work. I mean, she had a couple of prompts, but it was really up to me, and the ownership was on me to bring what I wanted. I've done those kinds of VIP days for my clients as well, but I also do one, it's a special money intensive. And so I have set pre-work for that, because the way we think about money and the relationships we have money are kind of similar to the way we have relationships everywhere. So in our love life, we kind of treat it the same way we do money and our work life. So I have this whole thing that I do, and it's sort of not a system, but it's a program. So if someone comes to me for that, they get an hour beforehand, they get the pre-work to do, then I do what I need to have it all put together. We spend 6 hours together day one. And then on day two, it's usually 4 hours, and it's vision. I'll do vision with them. I'll do the second part of whatever still needs to happen. And then after that, they get usually 2 follow-up sessions with me, so that we can really cement the work that they've done. Now, most of the time, those people become clients, that long-term clients, because we've done so much work and they need help really seeing it through. Sometimes for your very A type personality that's driven and can just move things forward, that's all they needed. It was enough. They come back in 3 months. They either want to coach at that time, or maybe they'd like another VIP experience. So there's that. For me, the other thing is, this is in all of my year-long packages with clients, that they get an intensive, depending on what it is that we're working on. So sometimes it'll be money. Sometimes it's the agenda is driven by the client. So I have one client coming out. She's coming from the Midwest. We've worked together for 1.5 years at this point, and we've been talking. We've already had an intensive from last year. And this time we're kind of closing things up. We're going to take a break from coaching for a minute. And we were talking about what would really serve her. What does she really want? And what we're going to work on is self-worth and worthiness. And we're going to talk about luxury and why she cannot allow herself to have any sort of luxurious, what feels luxurious. I mean, it could even just be a massage, but anything for her. And so part of what her VIP experience is going to be is some pampering, because that's what this client needs. So some of it, I'm very attuned to, what does this particular client need? What's going to feed their soul? What's the reason that they would travel all this way to come? I mean, California's great, but what's the reason that they would, put all of their time aside to do this, because it's quite intensive. So I'm creating that for her. I have another client coming the month after, and we're going to work, there'll be some fun that's built into there, but we're going to be doing more work on her business, on her personal life. And the thing that I like to do in all of my VIP intensives, I like to do some form of exercise in the outdoors, because when we're met with a challenge physically with our bodies, you really get to hear the inner dialogue, and this is something that Carrie knows about as well. She does some of these things with her clients, but there was a client about 2 years ago that we went on this, pretty intense hike, and 5 miles in Colorado. And wow, the inner dialogue that this person was sharing, I got to really coach around, okay, where else do you say that to yourself? What's your checkout point? How do you get through? Where does this apply in your life? So the answer with this is, you can make it whatever you want. It can be a standalone, it can be client driven, it can be driven by you if you seem to have something that you want to put together. Daryl, you and your wife, you already have so much content. You could do some sort of an intensive that already has things prepared, or you could do a combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. What ideas is this sparking for people?
I just wanted to throw in that it is so much fun for me as a coach doing this. I developed this when I was working with Gretchen, this program that I offer, which is a mountain biking experience. So I take my clients, it's like a 90-minute discovery session on Zoom. And then we have a 4-hour mountain biking intensive. And then we do a 90-minute integration session to really take what they learned and how will they use that in their life. But for me, it's like, when I'm doing this, I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. This is so much fun. So it energizes me as a coach, which then just makes me a better coach. And Gretchen is so right. Like getting people outside, their ego relaxes. They don't even think they're being coached. And it's just like money. The way you ride a mountain bike is the way you do everything in your life. So yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah. And the great thing here with this too, is that it's just another part of your business that you can do. You don't have to do it, but you can do. So as far as standard, I don't know, for some coaches, it's standard. For some coaches, it's a standalone. And for some coaches, they don't do it at all. Lori, I know that you had a question. Did it get answered, or do you still have it? Okay. All right. What else do you want to bring to the table tonight that you are wondering about? What's going on in your clients' world or prospective clients that you want to talk about? What's going on inside of you that you want to talk about that maybe you're having a block around that you need some help with so that you can have some prospective clients?
I'll talk.
All right, go for it, Daryl.
Yeah, I have a prospective client that I've been doing a call once a month since November, I guess. And I just decided that I was just going to be there for them, you know, that I wasn't ever going to mention coaching them. They knew I was a coach, but I was going to be there. And after the third month, well, I guess it was February, after the February call, and I truly finally got to do some coaching. I was listening more than anything and asking questions, but I finally got to the heart of what was going on in his life. And he, at the end of the call, when we were about to schedule the next month's call, he was going, Daryl, you've just been coaching me, and I feel like I'm taking advantage of you. You know, I really think we need to have a conversation about you coaching me. And I really wasn't coaching, except that last time. Probably I was just listening.
I love that. And Daryl, when that happens, one thing that you can say, because I've had people say the same thing to me of, wow, I really appreciate that you coached me. And Rich Litvin will say this too, that, oh, I wasn't actually coaching you. I was just listening to you. When I'm coaching you, you will know, because we will have scheduled it. It'll feel really different than this. But it's amazing how that deep listening can lead people to want more and to really want to be coached by you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Who else? What did you come to this call hoping to learn tonight? What were you wondering? Chrissy, how about you? You give us an update on you, because I haven't seen you in a while.
Hey, Gretchen.
Hi.
Nice to meet y'all. So I actually have done two things since we talked, Gretchen. I did the mini course that I told you about. The mini course. I ended up having 29 people participate in it. So that was good, but it was a low price point. So it didn't put a huge dent in the bank, but people did get breakthrough in it, and it did get my name out there more. So that was great. And I started promoting one-on-one coaching and just got my first paid one-on-one client.
Congratulations.
On Monday. So, I have a lead for another one already. So I'm excited about that. But I ran into an issue where I was going to do a lot of Facebook and Instagram marketing. And my account has been I can't remember the right word, but it's not suspended, but my ads account is I can't use it right now. So that was a big blow to me, because I was really planning on doing a lot of marketing through there. And it's been really impossible to get a hold of anybody at Facebook and get that figured out. So I guess one of the questions I have is maybe what are some other ways of marketing that, that people in our industry lean on, other than just social media?
Great question. So coaches, what are some other ways that you market that have nothing to do with social media? What do you do to find your potential clients and to connect with people?
I liked Daryl's just, obviously just talking to people, which is always great, but I guess I'm thinking on a larger scale.
What do people do? What have you tried?
I haven't tried it yet, but it was suggested to me. And I'm going to work on it is two things. One, I'm creating a flyer for a friend of mine to post in their like yoga studio for me. So like their yoga studio, their workout, their gym, they're going to actually put it on the bulletin board for me. So I'm providing them with flyers that I created. And then another alternative that they gave me that I thought was brilliant is reaching out to my bank to see if I can offer a life coaching session for free to their clients.
Nice. Who else? What have you done or thought of when it comes to connecting with potential clients?
I've been thinking about like what organizations naturally, even like alumni for college, like what are all kind of the places that might blast this information out. The other thing is just straight up email, which I guess if you're trying to access people that you don't know already, that's tricky, but email marketing, I feel like is more powerful still sometimes than social because it actually gets into people's inboxes.
Great. What else have people tried?
I've been thinking about people in my network who do related work, but different work. So for example, I reached out to someone who does diversity, equity, inclusion work, which I also do, but she's not a coach in the way that I'm a coach. So I had a call with her to talk about what I do and what she does. And we had a fabulous call. And I set it up as a way of getting to know what each other does that's unique from each other so that we could refer people to each other. So, she has a whole network of people that I don't know, and I have a whole network of people that she doesn't know. So I thought that could be an interesting way to get some names and leads.
Great. Who else? What else do you do? Christy, do you want to share? Because I see you putting things in the chat.
Yeah, I was trying to get the chat going a little bit. Personally, outside of social media, I like being a part of summits or even sometimes a giveaway that will have cross promotion going on with your list and someone else's list. And that just is really great to kind of stir not only more connection, but then you get to connect more with the people that are part of the summits. And then hopefully you get more referral partners that way, which is a double reason why I like summits and giveaways like that. Cause then I connect with both levels of people that can refer me or I can refer them or whatnot. And then people that are actually getting part of my email list because they got, I got put in front of them through somebody else's email marketing, which is pretty good. Some other ways, forgot who I was talking to this about last week, but like things like networking. But if you want to try to do it outside of social media too, you can try like meetup.com or something, find some virtual networking, some, power hour or co-working sessions are even great too, because then you might find referral partners or you may find clients as well. And or is this other one? If you want to do in-person networking, there's that as well, but there's just so many different venues you can do outside of social media, and then social media can supplement it if you're, if you're still able to do that. So.
Good.
That's.
Yeah. Anyone else? What else have you thought of or tried? Sherry.
So I reached out to one of my old colleagues that I haven't talked to her since COVID hit. And although as I was talking to her, she probably is not a client, a potential client, she actually has managers, supervisors, and leaders underneath her that probably she could be a referral source for career coaching. I definitely could do that. So I thought of that.
Yeah. It's great. So there's many different ways. It's just how creative can you get? How open are you to what the opportunities are? My favorite is still just okay, who am I supposed to connect with today? And letting it drop in. And the other thing that can be really helpful in this is none of us are looking for clients with an S. I know we think that we are. You're really looking for your next client. And when you're with that person that's in front of you, that's the only person that you're serving. That's it. That's who you're working with. When you're done with that, you can think about the next person, and this grows your client list. But many coaches, if they get really jacked up on, I need clients, they miss what's right in front of them. So thinking about who excites you, who would you love to be in conversation with? What are the industries that you're into? Where do the people that you think that you would like to serve, where do they hang out? What do they do? That's where you're going to find your client and clients. Chrissy, does that help?
Yes, definitely. Thank y'all.
You're welcome. Deb, hi. You are muted.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you in terms of timing. So like I'm trying to acquire some clients, right? But individual coaching clients, right? But also would love to do like group coaching. But do you need to have a certain number of individual clients kind of already built up? Because if I say I'm going to start a group coaching thing and it's going to start in June, how do I even know I'll have enough people to have a group coaching thing in June? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to kind of figure out, like, do I need to get a certain number of individual clients that then maybe 2 or 3 of them populate that, right? And then you kind of announce that and start pulling people in, or how does that work? Because what I don't want to get stuck doing is one person signs up and you're like, oh, nobody else signed up, because that sounds really lame.
Yes. Okay. Chicken or the egg question.
Yeah.
Is what this is. So there's no right or wrong answer. Here's some things that I have seen from coaches that work. For some people that they don't have a big client list yet, and they really would like to run groups because groups is where it's at for them, they will start doing their reach out, and when people show interest, they enroll them, and then they will say, until we have 3 people, 5 people, each month you get what's called preschool or, pre-enrollment. And then they will give them a group session, even if it's just them, each month or every other week until the next person comes in, and then until the next person comes in. So that's a way to do it. And then they get great value because they might get 6 sessions, individual sessions before the group feels filled to the person, to the coach. So that's one way that you can do it. The other thing is you can just decide, I'm doing a group, and put everything into it and know what your bottom line number is. That if you must have 5 people and you're giving yourself 3 months to find these 5 people, to have faith in yourself that you're going to find them. That's another way to do it. Or the other way that you had proposed is you can get, arsenal of clients, whatever that might mean to you, 5, 8, and then see if they would like to be a part of the group. Now, the tricky thing with current clients and then enrolling them into the group is current clients are usually paying more than what they would pay if they were in a group. So sometimes, depending on that pricing structure, I often gift part of what the group would cost for my current clients. So if you're working with me for a year, you just get into all of my groups as part of working with me for a year. If you are working with me for 6 months, I still might gift it to you or tell you that it's half price or whatever it is. So you can use the group to actually enroll one-on-one clients too, that it's like, hey, I know that you want to work together individually. I also want to tell you that if you decide to do that, I'm going to gift this group to you that's starting at the same time.
Okay.
So there's many ways to play. And then when you have a group, the other part, as well, as you want to make sure that you do have an individual component where they get a session or 2 with you so that they can really experience your coaching, because you're in a group with me, it's different. And yes, you get high value, but when you're in that individual, you really learn who that coach is. And then if they decide ever down the road that they need a coach or they'd like to work with a person not in a group setting, they've already had an experience with you. And then there's no selling involved. It's more just like, hey, we had those couple of sessions. I really enjoyed working with you and wondering, what do your coaching programs look like? So no right or wrong answer, just lots of different options.
Okay. That's helpful.
Good. Which one sounds the most exciting to you?
I kind of like the first one where I coach someone once a month until, because it lets me really start at 0, to be frank.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And be focused on it. I also wanted to ask, like, in terms of a group, normally what would be your cap in terms of people being able to get the value they need out of the group? And what is your sense of a minimum on that as well?
Depends on what kind of a group it is. So I've got a program called the Roundtable, and it's for higher level coaches who they've already earned some money and they are all in. They've already set up their business. They're not as new. And so for these coaches, there are a lot of guidelines before they are invited to the group. So this group is really invitation only. I do send it out to my coaching community. And then if there are a few that are interested that way, we can talk about it, but mostly it's invitation only.
I see. Yep.
And that right there already makes people feel special, because I am thinking about it, like who would be perfect in this group, and it's curated. It's like, okay, I want this person from here and this person from here. That I cap between 8 and 12. 8's really a nice number in a small group like that, because they all get to know each other. But 12 would also work. It can work. It's just a little bit bigger. So you decide for your own facilitation style, how many people that you like. And for that one, I give a lot of higher level coaching experience and coaching within the group. In that group as well, we do a lot of barn raising. So it's a lot of how can we help this coach build their business? What's their ask? Who do they want to be in a room with? And then I set the other coaches to work. It's like, I mean, the one that we did, Carrie was in it, the one that we did, people made great connections and they made pretty darn good money. And I mean, it was fantastic. So that's one way you can do it. The other way, for something like a Stairway to Six or coaching for coaches that you've all come to tonight, this is more informational. So when it's a more informational group, you can have more people in the group, because even though I'm still very much high touch, and you guys who have been in my groups, I see you all, I'm calling on all of you. I make sure that everyone has participated in some way, but you can have more people because it's less about any one person than in my higher level group. If that makes sense. And on that one, for all of you in Stairway to Six, you get a couple of sessions with me for whatever's most important to you. So I could have had, I think, comfortably 28 in Stairway to Six. It would have been a lot of people because I do like a high touch. I want to get to know everyone. That could have been fine, but our group that we have, still a pretty high number of people that are there, but it feels very manageable to me. Now, as far as the minimum goes, for my roundtable, I would run it if there were 4 coaches, because part of the beauty of that group is the other coaches. It is the other coaches.
Yeah.
For Stairway to Six, I'd want to have at least 12 to run it, for monetarily and everything else, for that to be really good for the group and good for me. So you always kind of have to know your bottom line too.
Right. Okay. And then do you always, for the groups, get all the money up front?
Mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, once in a while, I will work out a payment structure with people if they need it, but mostly the fees all at once.
Okay.
Yeah. Or we split it into 2 if it's like early enough. If I know that the group doesn't start until August and I'm advertising for it in June, someone can pay half then and then half in 6 weeks, but I do like to be paid before the group starts.
Okay.
Yeah. Something else to consider too, when you're thinking about your pricing, is how much of your time are you going to have to put in beforehand and after. Stairway to Six is very heavy on material. There is a lot that Christy and I do, Christy mostly, to get those documents ready, but all of the thinking that goes into it, and then the formatting and that sort of thing. When it's something like my roundtable group, I have a topic always ready to go and a lot of like literature for people to read, but it's coach focused. They bring the agenda to me of what they want to work on. So, you can do it. There's no right or wrong. You have to do what feels really good to you and what excites you. Chrissy.
You know that I'm also interested in groups.
Yes.
So, and I know I've had a conversation with you about pricing in groups before. And like you said, it's typically less than what the one-on-one coaching is, but how do you determine like what the proper pricing is? Because I've been researching other groups that are similar to mine, and they all charge so much lower than what I want to charge.
Don't do that then. Yeah. A lot of groups
kind of, making me a little bit fearful of, am I really going to be able to get, people to join it? Although I do believe there's going to be the value there.
Yes. Okay, so pricing's all made up. It's just all made up. That you're your own boss. You charge whatever you want to charge. You have to charge what feels worth it and valuable to you, and whatever it is, whatever number it is that's going to engage the participant. So with Stairway to Six, it's a $6,200 program. I raised it from last year on purpose because I wanted to get a certain level of coach that if you are willing to spend $6,200, even as more of a beginner in your business, that tells me that you're dedicated. You're really going to do something with this. It's different than the person who's going to pay $4,000, that sort of thing. And so you have to think about just level wise of how far do you want to push for that person to be able to fully engage and for you to show up fully engaged. Never be the cheapest. Just never be the cheapest. People don't even want the cheapest. Many times, never be the cheapest.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing too. I do want quality in the group.
Not only that, you're like the, what is that called? That certain kind of credit card that's really, it's called the black card. Yeah, it might be that, but it's like, you're the platinum, you know what I mean? That you're that special kind, and you want to bring that quality all the way through. And our price shows that, our price shows that our groups aren't for everybody. And that's the truth. And so pricing is also a way to kind of decide who it's for and who it's not for, just by their level of readiness to commit and to invest. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
It did. Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What else are people wondering? What other questions do you have that it's like, I'd really like to know?
I'll speak up again, if that's okay.
Okay.
So sticking with the group theme, do you or have you ever, kind of going back to my pricing thing and trying to think about, okay, who might I invite to do this and participate? Is it a good idea to have like an interest meeting or like one-on-ones with people to just discuss what it is that I'm starting? Like how do you kind of roll it out?
Great question. I have a lot of interest meetings. So the mini series that I did for Stairway to Six was free. Anybody could come, whether they joined Stairway to Six or not, but I taught material straight from the program. Like the coaches who are now in Stairway to Six are going to hear that same thing again, because it was pulled out of the program, because I want to show people that I'm not holding back, and I want them to really have the experience of what the program is. The other things that happens with that then is there's not a lot of one-on-one that I have to do with anyone. They've already experienced it. They either like it or they don't. Now, depending on your price point, you might have to have some one-on-ones. With my roundtable program, I'm going to talk to all of those coaches prior to deciding if it's a good fit or not for them and for me and for the group, because I really want it curated. For Stairway to Six, I talked to almost every coach. There were some that I already knew. For the ones that I didn't know that well, just to make sure that they were the right fit for the group. So those calls are mostly for me to make sure that whomever is going to be a part of it, that they're going to gel well. The higher your price point, though, the more of your time it will take for enrollment to answer questions.
Was it a webinar that you did when you say you basically did the content?
Did a Zoom. We did something like this on Zoom. I taught, everyone got to ask questions. They got to experience what Stairway to Six was. The other way that you can do a group, you can start with something that's pretty low cost. So when I was first playing around with groups and I didn't have Stairway to Six yet, I had something called, I don't even know. What was it called? Christy, do you remember the first thing I did?
Build Your Business.
Build Your Business. Thank you. BYB. Yeah. Okay. It was the Build Your Business group. I think it was $200 a month. Carrie, you were in it. Was it 200? Who even knows?
2 or 4, somewhere in there.
hope it was 4, but I think it was 2.
I was gonna say, I thought it was 300, but I don't know. Now I don't remember.
So maybe $2.99, whatever it was. And it was subscription based and people could jump in or out at any time. And it was really for me to test out what I wanted to do in Stairway to Six. And so I tested a lot of the concepts, got to see which ones were a dud, and I ran it for almost a year. It was like 9 months that I did the program. What I ended up doing at one point, first I started with Coaching for Coaches, which is this one that costs nothing for people to come to on the first Wednesday of every month. And for a while I was running that weekly. And then I said to those coaches, okay, look, there are a lot of you that want to really up your business game. I'm wondering who would be interested in making a financial commitment. I'm thinking subscription based at between 200 and 400, whatever price it was. And we would go deeper into these concepts and we'd have a schedule and there would be some content and some material. How many of you would be interested in that? And almost the whole group raised their hand. And that's how I knew I was onto something. So I went from the free concept. I did that, I think, 4 times in a row. Then I made the free just once a month because I do love coaches. It really is my service and my give back, but also, coaches are my people and they tend to join my programs and work with me. Then there was that low level intro that you could do for whatever that price was. It went for 9 months. I tested almost all of Stairway to Six, and then Stairway to Six was created with that material. Then it became a higher program. Then it became ICF certified. So there's a lot of ways that you can practice your material first and kind of see live results of, hey, did this work? Was this a dud for with almost no risk?
How do you feel? That was great. Thank you. How do you feel about having a minimum required time frame?
Yeah, you can do that too.
3-month minimum.
Yeah, you can 100% do that. So the reason that I didn't do it that way when I first ran it was because I like to have a trap door. I didn't know if I was going to like it. I didn't know if I'd want to do the group. I didn't know how committed I wanted to be yet. So making it subscription was like, let's see how committed they are. Let's see how committed I am. And then I loved it. It was so fun watching these coaches. The lights just go on. And I thought, okay, this other program that I want to do will be a hit. I'm going to make it for 6 months. Then the next program, the roundtable, I made for 5 because I really wanted it to be more of a pressure cooker than Stairway to Six. Stairway to Six needs a lot of time because it's so many concepts. It would really be impossible for Christy and I to get that done any quicker. Even now we're like, oh geez, what do we take out? What do we add in? What are we supposed to do? But the other one that I did, I knew I wanted to feel more intense. So there's a lot of options in how you do it. What else are people wondering? We have time probably for one more. Okay, if there's not one more, Sam, that was
Yeah, I'm just this whole group. I really appreciate everyone asking questions around group because it's something that I've thought about, but haven't even done. And so I guess I'm curious, how do you I love this idea of testing and playing, making it a little bit more experimental and pilot-y. So I have the trapdoor and also I can figure it out. But I guess I'm curious where even to start. To Deb's question of getting people in the mix is one thing, but it's also you just do it. You just think through what a framework could be and what topics could be, and you just do it.
Yeah, I mean, or not, or you can think about it for a long time. I just do it. I don't know. I throw stuff together all the time. The very first group I ever did was called Real Talk with Gretchen Book Club, but better. There was no book. We just talked about things, and it was groups of women, and it would be the first one I did was a group of 10 women. It was sort of like Tupperware parties. They'd all invite somebody, and it was for 5 weeks. I think it was $500, whatever it was. And I had a different topic for each week, one on relationships, one on self-worth, whatever it was. I do a little bit of teaching. They'd get to partner up, and then we ate chocolate, drank wine, and ate cheese. And it was great. And they loved it. And then I would pick women and say, hey, what if you invite your friends to this? You do it at your house, you're the hostess, you get it for free. Again, just like a Tupperware party where they'd get the free Tupperware or Arbonne or whatever the thing is. They'd bring their friends and we'd do it like that. So that was really fun, but I always just test it. And yeah, for me, I'm not much of a perfectionist. You'll probably all have learned that about me. I wing it a lot and I go with my gut. I know that the framework is good enough. And if it's ever a complete flop, then you just don't do it again. Just don't do it again. Do a different thing.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Good. Daryl.
I was just going to share that that I do 2 groups, and the very first one I started, the first session, I asked them what they wanted to talk about. I asked what all the things were. I then wrote them all down, sent them in an email, and then asked them to rank them. And then I had that from there. And then when I had done like 20 weeks, I then had a syllabus, and I was able to start the next group and use that syllabus for the next group.
Which works perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad we did the Q&A. How did you enjoy Q&A? Is it something we should do again, like open Q&A? I feel like it's a work session when you do that because you can really bring whatever it is that's top of mind. We'll probably do another one of these or 2 of these. I'm wondering, what did you learn tonight? Like, what's the thing that you didn't know before you came that was helpful for you?
I'll speak.
Amanda?
Yes, Amanda. I have been thinking heavily on groups, and I'm so happy that everyone's kind of, thinking about that. But I never, in my mind, I had to have it a specific way and had to do, have it structured to a certain extent. And with the questions today, I learned that, like, trust your intuition, like you've said, Gretchen, and Daryl, how you just talked about, like, you created an open forum. And then from there, you created a group for 20 weeks. And I'm like, that's so creative, and just, it gets the ball rolling. And you can do a trial run for yourself as well. Like you said, Gretchen, and is this something you really want to do or talk about? And if not, go to another program or create something different. So it was really helpful and like encouraging to just do something because it's a trial for you and it's a benefit for them in the long run.
Good. Yes. I'm glad that you heard that. What else? Who else learned something tonight that they want to share? What did you take?
I'll piggyback off Amanda and say that I took away to just like kind of get out of my head a little bit and just do it. Especially with you saying like the Tupperware party method. That was pretty, like, it's just do something, like just get people together and start.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I took away from tonight.
I'm so glad. What else? Lori.
I feel like the through line for all of this is just like to just do it however you want. And just figure out what works and just do it though.
Yeah. It's like we have 2 taglines tonight. MSU, make stuff up, and just do it, from Nike. So take whatever you want, right? Just do it though. And really, I really want all of you to leave with, don't worry about it being perfect. Nothing is ever perfect anyway, ever. The other thing in groups is I have way more content than I ever teach in anything that I do. There is so much content. And anytime I have tried to like smash it all in just so that we can cover all the points, it ends disastrously. Groups take on their own shape. Like tonight, we ended up, I didn't know what we were going to talk about in Q&A. This was a night about groups. That's what it was. That's what you wanted. That's what we did. If I would have had something about ask questions in this category and do this, it's too forced. So in groups, they reveal what they need and what they're going to anyway. So this year's Stairway to Six is very different than last year's Stairway to Six. What the participants, what the coaches want is just a little bit different, little different nuance, and that's okay. So as you're making it up, that just do it really goes with it because you're going to let the group lead you. This is where it's good just to be good on your feet, just good on your feet. You're good with people. You can facilitate. It's no problem. All right, coaches, happy March. I'll see you in April, and I'll see the rest of you coaches that are in Stairway to Six next week.
Okay, thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Gretchen. Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
So good to see everyone. Take care.
Bye.